Ladies and gentlemen, hear me clearly. Peace is not the absence of problems, it's the presence of purpose. The reason most people can't sleep at night isn't because of noise in the room, it's the noise in their soul. You can be in the quietest place on earth and still have a war raging inside you. Peace is not found in a place. Peace is found in a mindset. If you want real peace, you've got to stop chasing shadows and start understanding principles. Peace comes from purpose, not possessions you see. Most people spend their entire lives climbing a ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall. They hustle, they grind, they sacrifice sleep, joy, and health, all in pursuit of something they believe will finally give them peace. But the truth is, possessions will never bring peace if purpose is absent. Look around. We live in a world flooded with luxury but drowning in anxiety. People drive the latest cars, live in big houses, wear designer labels, and still go to bed with an ache in their soul. Why? Because peace is not a product of what you have. It's a result of knowing who you are and why you exist. A man can sleep in a mansion and still be restless. A woman can fly first class to a 5-star resort and still feel empty. Peace doesn't live in marble floors or imported sofas. Peace lives in alignment. When your soul is aligned with your assignment, peace becomes your daily companion, even in chaos. Purpose gives pain a reason. Purpose gives pressure a direction. Without purpose, your life becomes a collection of moments that feel disconnected and meaningless. You wake up on Monday asking, why am I doing this again? You go through your week feeling robotic, drained, and emotionally bankrupt, not because life is hard, because you're not connected to your core. I want to ask you a bold question. If everything you owned was taken away, your phone, your car, your house, what would still be left of you? If you don't know, then you've confused your identity with your inventory. The problem isn't that we want too much. The problem is that we're chasing the wrong things. We're told from childhood, go to school, get a degree, get a job, make money. But no one told us, find your reason for existing. No one said, discover what burns inside you so fiercely that even when you're tired, you still keep going. That is purpose. And when you find it, peace follows like a shadow. A janitor who knows his purpose can have more peace than a CEO who doesn't, because peace isn't tied to status, it's tied to significance. A mother raising her children with conviction can live more fulfilled than someone sitting in a corner office with a 6-figure salary but an empty spirit. Think about this. Have you ever finished a day where you gave your time, your skill, your heart to something meaningful, and you went to bed tired? Yes, but fulfilled. That's peace. That's the soul saying, today mattered. Now compare that to days where you're scrolling on your phone, bouncing between distractions, doing things you don't care about for people you don't even like. The difference is purpose. Let me take you into a real life example. Imagine a young man who becomes a lawyer because everyone told him it would make him successful. He pushes himself, he passes exams, he gets hired at a prestigious firm, but inside he feels dead. Every day feels like he's suffocating in a suit that was never made for him. Now imagine that same man loved to mentor teens. He never saw it as a career, just a calling, but every time he speaks to them, something in him comes alive. His words carry weight. His eyes light up. That space where passion meets meaning is where peace is hiding. You may not need to quit your job, but you do need to stop ignoring your inner voice, the one that nudges you when you're off track, the one that whispers, you were made for more than this. That's your purpose trying to lead you back to peace. And peace does not come through noise. It comes through clarity. When you understand what you were born to do, you begin to walk in a rhythm that silences the inner storm. I dare you to stop measuring your life by what you collect and start measuring it by what you contribute. What are you giving to this world that no one else can give? That's where you'll find peace. Not in your paycheck, but in your impact. Purpose brings peace because it simplifies your life. It tells you what to say yes to and what to say no to. It draws a line between distraction and destiny. It teaches you that you don't need to impress anyone when you're already expressing the reason you were created. That's why some people look so calm in the middle of storms, because they know their purpose and nothing external can shake an internal foundation. Peace comes from waking up every day with intention. It comes from knowing that even doesn't applaud you, you're still valuable. Even in the money isn't flowing yet, you're still walking in truth. That's power. That's peace. That's purpose. And the most beautiful thing, you don't have to go searching for it in faraway lands. It's been inside you all along, buried under expectations, noise, fear, and comparison. But the moment you uncover it, life becomes still. Peace takes over and chaos loses its grip. Protect your mind. Your thoughts are architects of your atmosphere. Your mind is not just a storage room for information. It is the control tower of your entire life. Everything you do, everything you say, every decision you make, it all begins as a thought. That's why the most dangerous warfare isn't what happens around you. It's what happens within you. Your mind is the battlefield, and whoever controls it controls your peace. You can't expect to live a peaceful life if your thoughts are polluted. You can't have a calm heart with a chaotic head. Let me tell you this plainly, Your thoughts are the architects of your atmosphere, the world you wake up to every day. How you feel about yourself, how you handle problems, how you treat others. All of it is shaped by the architecture of your mind. If you build your thoughts with fear, doubt, comparison, and self-hate, don't be surprised when your life feels like a mental prison. But if you start reconstructing your inner world with wisdom, gratitude, truth, and vision, then suddenly peace becomes your atmosphere, not just a wish. Every day, you are under attack, not physically, but mentally. Look at your phone, your TV, the conversations around you, constant noise, constant pressure, constant comparison. You're being told you're not good enough, you're not fast enough, you're not rich enough, you're not attractive enough. And if you're not careful, you'll start adopting thoughts that were never yours to begin with. That's how your peace gets stolen, not by accidents, but by unfiltered access. When you leave your mind open to anything, anything will enter. That's why you must guard your thoughts like you would guard your front door. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your house with muddy shoes and tear up your furniture, would you? Then why do you let toxic thoughts rent space in your head, disrespect your joy, and vandalize your peace? There's a powerful truth you must understand. You are not your thoughts, but you are responsible for what you allow to live in your mind. Some people think that just because a thought showed up, they have to accept it. That's a lie. You can't stop a bird from flying over your head, but you can stop it from building a nest in your hair. In the same way, you can't stop every thought from coming, but you can choose what stays. Let me give you a real life example. Imagine a woman wakes up one morning and looks in the mirror. She's tired, maybe gained a little weight, and suddenly a thought pops into her head. I'm not beautiful anymore. Now that thought didn't come from truth. It came from comparison, maybe something she saw on social media the night before. But instead of rejecting it, she entertains it. She dwells on it. And by the time she walks out the door, her confidence is already drained, not because of reality, but because of a single unchallenged thought. Her day is shaped not by truth, but by the architecture of insecurity. That's how powerful the mind is. Now flip that scenario. Another woman wakes up feeling the same way, sees herself in the mirror, and the same thought tries to enter. But this time she speaks to it, I'm evolving, not declining. My worth is not measured by pounds or wrinkles, but by purpose and presence. She speaks peace over herself. She builds with power instead of shame. That woman walks out differently, not because her body changed, but because her mind did. You see, peace is not found in perfection. It's found in perspective. And perspective is the byproduct of your thought life. If you keep thinking worst-case scenarios, you will live in anxiety. If you keep feeding yourself with failure-focused thoughts, you will live in hesitation. But if you begin to feed your mind truth, peace will start following you like a shadow. You want peace? Start feeding your thoughts like they matter. Start waking up and commanding your mental atmosphere. Don't just wake up and grab your phone. Grab your thoughts. Align them. Lead them. Say things like, today I choose peace. I choose to let go of what I can't control. I choose to focus on what's working, not just what's broken. I choose to see problems as opportunities for growth. This isn't just self-help talk. This is survival. Because the most successful people on earth are not the smartest. They are the most mentally disciplined. They don't allow every worry to stay. They know how to silence internal storms before they become external disasters. They know how to turn down the volume of the world so they can hear the whisper of their own wisdom. Think about this. A seed planted in healthy soil grows, but a seed thrown into chaos dies. Your mind is the soil. Every idea, every dream, every relationship grows or dies based on the climate inside your head. If your thoughts are negative, unstable, or toxic, even the best opportunities will struggle to survive in your life. This is why protecting your mind is not optional. It's critical, because every breakthrough, every invention, every peaceful moment you're hoping for, it all begins with a single thought. You want to change your life. Don't start with your habits. Start with your head. Because if you can win in your mind, you've already won everywhere else. The people around you will either build peace or break it. The people around you will either build peace or break it. And many times, it's not because they're evil. It's because they're unaware of the power they carry into your atmosphere. Every person you allow close to you brings energy. They either pour into your peace or poison it. The truth is, you don't just need people around you who love you. You need people who understand how to protect your peace, even when they're in pain themselves. You can't afford to share space with people who carry chaos like perfume, because after a while, it sticks to you too. You begin to absorb their stress, inherit their fears, adopt their insecurities, and before you know it, you're fighting battles that aren't even yours. That's how you lose peace, not because life got harder, but because you're carrying emotions that were never assigned to you in the first place. Look at your circle. Listen to their words. Do they speak life when you're low, or do they amplify your worry? Do they calm you down when storms rise, or do they panic and push you deeper into fear? You've got to understand that your peace is not just your responsibility, it's your protection. The people you surround yourself with are either gods or gate crashers. They're either covering your peace or cracking your walls. Let me give you a real life example. There was a man who had big dreams. He wanted to start a business, impact lives, and create legacy. But every time he brought his ideas to his friends, they laughed. They told him he was thinking too big, that he should be realistic, that he should get a normal job and stop dreaming. And slowly, his fire began to die, not because his vision was wrong, but because his environment was too small for it. He wasn't failing, he was surrounded. Peace requires agreement, not just emotional support, but alignment in vision, values, and volume. You need people who can sit in silence and not disturb your soul, people who can disagree with you without dishonoring you, people who bring calm to your storms, not drama to your doorstep. Sometimes peace doesn't come from adding more people. It comes from subtracting the wrong ones. You've got to learn to protect your peace like a sacred currency. Not everyone deserves access. Just because someone has history with you doesn't mean they deserve your future. Some people were meant to be lessons, not lifelong connections. And keeping them around just because of the past can cost you your future peace. There's nothing more draining than being around someone who is always offended, always angry, always gossiping, always negative. You start questioning yourself. You start doubting your instincts. You start feeling heavy for no reason. Why? Because proximity is powerful. You become like the people you stay close to. Their mindset begins to shape yours. Their language becomes your internal dialogue. Now think about someone in your life who lifts you when you speak to them. Someone who reminds you of your strength when you feel weak. Someone who challenges your excuses but protects your dreams. That's peace in human form. That's a person who builds, not breaks. Those are the voices you need in your circle, because when life starts shaking, their presence becomes your anchor. This is why choosing your relationships is not a social decision. It's a spiritual one. It's not just about who you vibe with, it's about who aligns with your purpose. Can they walk with you when you're not winning? Can they still speak vision when things look blurry? Can they hold your hand without trying to hold you back? If not, then you're not just losing peace, you're wasting your potential. And sometimes, the most peaceful thing you can do is not attend every argument you're invited to. Some people don't want clarity, they want control. Some people don't want healing, they want chaos because it gives them attention. And if you don't recognize that, you'll keep draining your energy trying to fix what was never yours to fix. Let's go deeper. There's a woman who found herself constantly exhausted, not physically, but emotionally. Every time she spoke to a certain family member, she felt drained. Every conversation turned into a complaint, a comparison, or a criticism. And one day, she realized something powerful. This relationship was costing her peace. And peace is too expensive to be sacrificed at the altar of guilt. So she created boundaries, not to be cruel, but to be clear. And over time, she regained her joy, not because life changed, but because her environment did. You've got to give yourself permission to walk away from what disturbs your spirit. Just because someone expects you to be available 24/7 doesn't mean you owe them that access. Peace means learning to say, I love you, but I need space. Peace means understanding that loyalty to your mental health is not betrayal, it's wisdom. When you begin to prioritize peace, you'll start feeling strange around noise. You'll stop finding excitement in chaos. You'll begin to crave people who speak slowly, think deeply, and live gently. Because real strength is not found in people who shout the loudest. It's found in people who know how to calm the storm, even when they didn't start it. Your environment should be a greenhouse, not a battlefield. It should help you grow, not force you to survive. The people you keep close are either watering your peace or setting fire to it. Choose wisely, because the difference between anxiety and assurance often lies in who you allow to sit at your table. Peace is the fruit of prioritization. Peace is not something you stumble upon. It is something you prioritize, something you choose on purpose. Every day, you are offered dozens of decisions, thousands of distractions, and countless people competing for your attention. If you don't learn how to say no to the urgent, you will never experience the peace of the important. You will always be in motion, but never in alignment. You will always be exhausted, but never fulfilled. Peace is the result of disciplined focus, not random freedom. Too many people are tired, not because life is hard, but because they've said yes to too many things that don't matter. You were not designed to be everything to everyone. You were not created to fix every problem, attend every event, answer every message, or chase every opportunity. That's not peace, that's people pleasing, and people pleasing is a thief of personal clarity. You've got to ask yourself, what truly matters to me? Because when everything is a priority, nothing is. And when nothing is truly prioritized, your peace gets scattered. You can't chase every fire and expect to live unburned. You can't keep saying yes out of fear of missing out and expect your mind to be still. Real peace comes when you realize that you don't need to do everything, just the right things. Let me give you a daily life example. There was a young man who was talented in multiple areas. He could sing, design, write, speak, and lead. Every week, someone was asking him to help with a new project. At first, he felt honored. He said yes to everything because he didn't want to disappoint anyone. But weeks turned into months, and soon he found himself worn out, uninspired, and bitter. He didn't enjoy what he used to love. He wasn't sleeping well. He started snapping at people, losing energy, and constantly questioning his worth. Why? Not because he lacked talent, but because he lacked prioritization. One day, someone older pulled him aside and said, "Your gift is not the problem, your yes is." That sentence hit him like thunder. He realized he had been trading his peace for applause. He had let the world schedule his time instead of guarding his purpose. And so he made the hard decision to step back, reevaluate, and refocus. He started saying no more often, not out of pride, but out of purpose. He created space in his schedule. He simplified his commitments. And guess what? His peace returned, his passion returned, and most importantly, he came back to himself. That's what many of us need, a return to self, a return to peace through the door of priority. Because peace is not found in having a full schedule. It's found in living with a clear sense of what you're here to do. You've got to know your assignment. You've got to learn to look at some opportunities and say, this looks good, but it's not for me. This looks urgent, but it's not aligned. This looks impressive, but it's not assigned. That's how you protect your peace, not by running from life, but by running with precision. You see, life is full of noise, notifications, obligations, expectations. And if you don't know what matters to you, the noise will convince you that everything is a crisis. You'll end up in a panic trying to do 10 things halfway instead of doing 3 things with excellence. But peace doesn't live in chaos. Peace lives in clarity. When you wake up and know what your day is about, your energy flows with direction, not confusion. Think about a mother who has 3 kids, a job, and a dream. If she doesn't prioritize her peace, she'll burn out trying to do everything for everyone. But when she pauses, breathes, and begins to structure her life around what matters most, her time with her children, her health, her purpose, suddenly her home doesn't feel like a war zone anymore. It becomes a space of order. The chaos outside doesn't control her inside because her life now has boundaries built on values. Peace isn't passive. It's not just sitting in a quiet room with incense burning and soft music playing. That's relaxation, not peace. Peace is internal authority. It's knowing where your power lies and refusing to hand it over to pressure. It's walking into a busy day and knowing exactly what you're committed to and what you are not. It's being able to tell people, I love you, but I won't destroy my health to meet your urgency. I respect you, but I must protect my priorities. The truth is, life will always be loud. People will always want more of you. The world will always tell you that doing more equals being more. But you must understand this. Peace is not the reward of achievement, it's the companion of alignment. When your actions line up with your values and your schedule reflects your purpose, you don't have to chase peace. Peace comes looking for you. So start checking your calendar and asking this question, is this aligned with my purpose? Or is this just pressure pretending to be opportunity? Start checking your emotion and asking, do I feel peace in this relationship, this job, this conversation? Or do I feel drained, confused, and scattered? These are not selfish questions, they are survival strategies. Because when you begin to prioritize your peace, you begin to live with a rhythm that makes room for your spirit. You wake up and your mind isn't racing. You walk through your day and your soul isn't heavy. You make decisions and your heart isn't anxious. Not because life got easier, but because you finally got focused. Forgiveness is a door to peace you must walk through. Forgiveness is not a feeling, it's a decision. A bold, life-changing decision that unlocks a door most people never have the courage to walk through. And the reason so many live without peace is because they keep that door locked, holding the key in their own hand, refusing to use it. You can't sleep at night. You replay old conversations. You imagine different endings. You talk to people who aren't even in your life anymore, in your head. That's not freedom. That's a prison made of memory, and forgiveness is the only key that unlocks the gate. What we don't understand is that forgiveness isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the hook they left in your heart. Bitterness is heavy. Unforgiveness is toxic. And the longer you carry it, the more it infects your joy, your confidence, your relationships, your clarity. You could have the best opportunities ahead of you, but if you're still bound to what they said behind you, you'll sabotage your own success. There was a man who was wrongfully fired from a job he gave 10 years to. He worked late, mentored others, stayed loyal, never complained. One day, a new manager arrived with ego and insecurity, saw his influence and felt threatened. That manager made it his mission to push him out, and it worked. The man left broken, angry, confused. Years passed, and he never fully recovered, not because he wasn't talented, not because new doors didn't open, but because his heart was still in the courtroom of what happened. He walked into interviews carrying silent rage. He sat at dinner tables filled with resentment. He was there physically, but mentally he was in yesterday's betrayal. He couldn't enjoy the present because the past had claimed squatters' rights in his soul. Now here's the part that will shake you The person who hurt him moved on. That manager got promoted, went on with life, maybe never thought about it again. You see, the person who wounded you is probably not waking up thinking about how they made you feel, but you are. So who's really suffering now? Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean they have to be part of your life again. It doesn't mean what they did was right. It means you are refusing to let their wrong define your worth another second. It means you are breaking the cycle of rehearsing pain and choosing to live free. You don't forgive because they asked for it. You forgive because your soul demands it. Think about the weight you carry when you don't forgive, the tension in your shoulders, the overthinking, the stress that doesn't go away even after you rest. That's not just emotional, that's spiritual weight. That's the cost of holding on. And the tragedy is, some people have learned to live heavy and call it normal. But normal doesn't mean healthy, and peace will never sit in a house filled with bitterness. Let me show you another example. A woman was betrayed by her closest friend. They were like sisters, shared secrets, dreams, plans. But one day, that friend went behind her back, took something that was hers, and broke the trust in ways that couldn't be undone. For years, she smiled in public but cried in private. Her trust in people vanished. She became cold, guarded, suspicious of everyone. Even good people were kept at a distance because the wound hadn't healed. One day, she heard someone say, "The pain may not be your fault, but the healing is your responsibility." That hit her like a lightning bolt. For the first time, she saw that her peace was being held hostage, not by the betrayal, but by her unwillingness to release it. She didn't call the friend, she didn't need to, but she went into a quiet place, said their name out loud, and said, "I forgive you. You no longer control my energy. I take my power back." That's what forgiveness sounds like. It sounds like you reclaiming authority over your own life. It sounds like you declaring that the story didn't end at the pain, it just turned a page. You can't change the past, but you don't have to keep it on replay either. Forgiveness is hitting stop. Forgiveness is putting the pen back in your hand. Forgiveness is saying, I may never get the apology, but I still choose peace. It's easy to say, I'll forgive when they say sorry. But what if they never do? Do you stay stuck forever? Do you keep drinking poison and expecting them to feel sick? No, you rise, you grow. You shake the dust off your soul and move forward, not because you're weak, but because you're finally strong enough to stop bleeding over things that no longer deserve your energy. Some of the most peaceful people on earth are not those who had the easiest lives. They're the ones who made a decision to forgive the deepest wounds. They're the ones who said, "You won't break me twice. You hurt me then, but I won't let you keep hurting me now by reliving it." That's power. That's maturity. That's growth. So when you look at your own life, ask yourself, what weight am I still carrying that was never mine to hold forever? Who am I still angry with? And how is that anger affecting my peace, my health, my relationships? And most of all, am I willing to be free? Because freedom has a cost. It's called forgiveness. But once you pay it, you walk through a door that many only dream of, the door of peace. And no matter what you lost, that peace is the greatest gain you'll ever experience. Peace is a discipline, not an emotion. Peace is a discipline, not an emotion. And until you treat it that way, you'll always be at the mercy of your mood, your environment, and the behavior of people who don't even deserve access to your inner world. Emotions fluctuate, peace doesn't. Peace is not about feeling calm when everything is perfect. Anyone can do that. Peace is about remaining stable in the storm, unshaken in chaos, grounded even when the ground beneath you is shaking. That kind of peace doesn't show up by accident. It's developed, trained, built like muscle through discipline. Discipline means you train your mind not to panic when life shifts. It means you build inner walls so that every negative thought doesn't enter and decorate your spirit. You become intentional with your focus, guarded with your energy, selective with your responses. Because if peace is the house you live in, then discipline is the alarm system that protects it. Have you ever seen someone go through something that would break the average person? Losing a job, being betrayed, going through heartbreak, but they respond with silence, clarity, and calm. That's not because they feel nothing. That's because they've built something. They've built a mindset that doesn't default to chaos. They've built a spirit that doesn't dance to the beat of confusion. They've trained themselves not to react to everything because they've learned that some battles are distractions in disguise. Imagine this, you're driving your car and every time someone honks at you, you pull over to argue. How far would you get? Not far at all. That's how some people live, constantly responding, reacting, defending, explaining until their piece is in pieces. But the disciplined person, they stay focused. They know when to respond and when to remain silent. They know that peace is not won by noise, it's kept by wisdom. And wisdom will always tell you not everything deserves your energy. We live in a world that thrives on reaction. Social media trains you to comment on everything. Culture teaches you to prove yourself. People expect you to clap back. But peace demands a different path. It says you don't have to show up to every argument you're invited to. It tells you you're not obligated to explain yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. And that is discipline, to be able to say no to chaos, even when you feel justified in stepping into it. One woman shared her story of walking away from a toxic workplace. She didn't slam the door. She didn't gossip. She didn't create scenes. She left with grace, not because she wasn't angry, not because she wasn't hurt, but because she made a decision. I won't let their dysfunction infect my peace. That's discipline. That's strength. That's choosing to protect your spirit more than you protect your pride. And this kind of discipline starts in the mind. You can't have a peaceful life with a chaotic thought life. The moment you wake up, your mind is already talking. Thoughts come flying. What you didn't do, what someone said, what you fear might happen. And if you don't take charge, those thoughts take charge of you. Peace doesn't mean nothing bad happens. Peace means you govern what happens inside you, regardless of what's happening around you. You don't get this kind of peace by accident. You practice it. You wake up and decide what kind of energy you're carrying into the day. You decide who has access to your attention. You set boundaries, not just around your time, but around your soul. You speak to yourself before the world gets a chance to. You say, today I will not chase conflict. Today I will not allow anxiety to rule me. Today I choose calm, even if chaos is calling me by name. Some people don't have peace because they've trained themselves to panic. The moment something doesn't go as planned, they spiral. The moment someone disagrees, they explode. The moment disappointment comes, they collapse. But the disciplined person has rehearsed peace like a fighter rehearses footwork. They've trained their reflexes. So when the storm hits, they don't crumble, they breathe, they reset. They respond with intention, not emotion. Because peace is not a one-time event. It's a daily decision. You don't get peace by wishing for it. You get peace by fighting for it. Not by fighting people, but by fighting every thought that says you're not enough. Every fear that says the worst is coming. Every lie that tells you to worry about what you can't control. That's where the real battle is, not out there, but in here, inside your mind, inside your spirit. And if you win that battle, you win the day. It's easy to say, I'll have peace when life settles down. But what if life doesn't settle? What if the pressure increases? What if the delays last longer than expected? What if people still disappoint you? That's when discipline kicks in. That's when you remind yourself that storms don't last, but your response can leave lasting scars or build lasting strength. And peace is strength. It's the kind of strength that makes people wonder how you're still standing. It's the kind of strength that makes your enemies confused because you didn't break where they thought you would. You can't control the waves, but you can control your boat. You can't stop the rain, but you can choose how you walk through it. You can't change the noise, but you can choose silence inside yourself. That's the secret the world doesn't teach. Peace is not a gift. It's a discipline. And the more you practice it, the more powerful you become. So now you understand peace isn't just a feeling, it's a force. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's not escape, it's elevation. When you choose peace, you're not backing down, you're rising above. You're not avoiding the battle, you're choosing which battles are worth your spirit. And the most powerful person in the room is not the loudest, not the one who wins the argument, but the one who can walk away without losing their character. You've got to ask yourself, what's stealing your peace? What conversations are draining your soul? What people are pulling you into confusion? Sometimes the loudest war is the one in your mind. And if you don't win that war, nothing outside you will ever feel calm. This is why peace starts with a decision, not a condition. You don't wait for life to slow down. You don't wait for people to change. You decide that you will be different, that you will be still even in the storm. People think peace is passive, but peace is power under control. It's knowing who you are, so nothing outside of you can define you. It's knowing where you're going, so you don't get distracted by detours. And when you live like that, you confuse the enemy, because the enemy expects you to break, to crack, to panic. But instead you smile, you breathe, you rise, because you've made peace your weapon, not your wish. And hear me clearly, peace is not pretending nothing's wrong. Peace is standing tall even when everything feels wrong, but knowing it won't always be that way. You carry peace when you walk through fire and don't come out smelling like smoke. You carry peace when you've been betrayed and still choose to heal. You carry peace when the door closes, but you keep knocking because you know something greater is coming. That's not delusion. That's faith. That's focus. That's discipline. You were not designed to live in a storm forever. You were not created to be tossed around by every wave. There is a calm inside you. There is a strength in your silence. There is power in your pause. Every time you choose not to react, you gain ground. Every time you breathe before you respond, you grow. Every time you let go, instead of lashing out, you're building peace that can be shaken. Don't let people who live in chaos convince you that something's wrong with your calm. Don't let people who scream for attention make you feel guilty for being still. Sometimes silence is louder than any noise. Sometimes peace is the boldest response you can give. You see, lions don't flinch at barking dogs. Eagles don't fight with crows. And giants don't argue with gossip. Why? Because when you know your purpose, you don't entertain petty. When you've tasted peace, you won't settle for stress. When you've lived through storms and found stillness, you'll never go back to chasing approval, clapping back, or shrinking your power to match someone else's chaos. So live from a deeper place. Speak from a higher level. Choose your battles like a king, like a queen. Let people misunderstand you. Let them underestimate you. But never let them drag you out of your peace. Because peace is expensive, and once you've paid for it with pain, with patience, with growth, you'll never let anyone cheapen it again. Every morning, remind yourself, I am not here to react. I'm here to rule my mind. Every night, say to yourself, today, I protected my peace. And that is progress, because in a world that's addicted to noise, silence is a revolution. And in a life full of temporary highs and unpredictable storms, peace is the real success. Remember this, you don't always need to be right. You just need to be at peace. You don't always need to win arguments. You just need to win within. And above all, you don't need a perfect life to live with peace. You just need a powerful mind that refuses to surrender to anything less. You're not weak for choosing peace. You're unstoppable because of it.